Downside anyway.
Cool. Hey guys, Paul and Chris here, back for another session, another insight session. It's been a while between drinks, Chris. We've both been pretty busy. You went overseas. I've had a lot going on, lots of puppies arriving and babies and all kinds of stuff. But it's good to be back and be good to get back into some sort of regular cadence of doing this weekly, time permitting, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's been a good lesson, right? So best laid intentions in a podcast apply to best laid intentions in a business. Sometimes life
yeah.
just gets in the way, and you need to pause certain things for a certain time. But if they're
Yeah.
important enough, you sort of come back and get back into them. So
Yeah, and I mean a big part of the podcast for us as well is A, educating people, and helping them grow their businesses faster, and B, acquiring customers from the podcast. So every time we kind of publish a podcast, we end up with a whole bunch of new customers coming on board. So hence you get busier. So anyway,
good incentive to keep going. Yeah,
it's good incentive to keep going. Yeah. So we're chatting. Chris and I were chatting this morning. We're talking about how to like recession proof your business, and how there's so much negativity out there at the moment in the market. And he's like, well, I don't even watch news. It's just crap. And I'm like, yeah, I don't really watch news either. Like, I get on my news kind of secondhand from social stuff, and even that's pretty terrible. But one of the takeaways that we came with as part of that conversation was that we've got a whole bunch of clients that are actually thriving right now, even as we are headed towards a recession. And our senior leadership team had a good conversation about this yesterday, about certain industries that currently exist that we all feel like actually going to do really well. So yeah, we're going to kind of talk about that a bit today, and as a caveat, if your industry is not currently there at the moment anyway, or it's not on our list. That's not to say that you guys still can't crush it anyway. Because Chris and I are also having a chat, and we're basically like, well, a lot of people, they head into a time like now where that's like, oh crap, the world's going to collapse, and going to run out of fiat currency, and crypto's dead, and COVID's going to kill us all. And the first thing they do is like, let's stop spending money. So it's like, let's stop trying to show up in front of customers that still want to buy our shit. So, yeah. So Chris and I are going to be talking about that. Okay, it's a bit of a weird thing. And I mean, if
kind
you
of
think
makes
about,
sense though. Like when you're in that fear space, and
yeah,
as we said, there's so much negativity and fear just out in the world. Obviously, the last couple of years has been a massive push for negativity that's messing with people's mind state. It's very easy in that state to just go, well, I'll back off. Like I'm just
I'll
going
do
to
nothing.
lean back. I'll do nothing. I'm just going to curl into my ball and wait for this to pass.
Yes.
But as we're saying, if you do that and your competitor doesn't, guess who's going to take all of your customers?
Yeah.
Right. So that's that's the opportunity within a potential looming recession. But we even saw it over COVID when business really contracted. Those that maintained their spend, that found a way to keep going, came out the back end better off. So that's kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah, and some just really flourished during that time as well. So, like you just mentioned as well, I think from a psychology point of view, a good 50% of people, they get into a time period like this and they get into survival mode, and their first thought when it comes to actually survival is to, like Chris said, go hide in the cave, don't spend your money, don't do anything, kind of just keep pedaling slowly, so stuff kind of keeps slowly going through the motions, and it keeps blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, if you're not growing and you're not, like your business is not, getting bigger and bigger every month, you're dying. And also because your competitors are going to come along and pretty much know, like most people don't actually have the mindset of, I'll just hit to a certain level and I'll just stay at that level forever. Like most people want to keep going, 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 going. So like what Chris said was, exactly true. Like, well, if you're sitting there and they're growing, they're taking business away from you. Over time, you're just going to sink. I see this with a lot of businesses in all sorts of spaces, like service businesses and e-com businesses and healthcare and food and whatever. Um, you know, they get to a certain level and then they're just like, cool, I'm happy with that now. And then what happens is sooner or later, all your competitors come in, creep up on you, take your business, and you're like, they're so used to, sitting in that space of safety, for lack of a better term, that they very, very rapidly die. Have you seen that kind of thing happen with people that you've dealt with
Yeah,
yourself?
for sure. I mean, there's no such thing as stasis, really, right? If you're maintaining your level, you're actually going backwards. If you even just look at inflation, if your business is at the same level it was last year, just with inflation, your business is 12% worse off this year, and it's 10% off worse and 15% the next year. So stasis is kind of this fallacy of, like you're saying, we're happy at this level, we'll just maintain this level. Maintenance is actually going backwards purely if you just look at inflation, but then also you look at potentially where we're moving into a more of a down market. If you're just staying where you are and your competitors start maintaining and actually start accelerating their spend, something like with PPC, Google AdWords, they're starting to get your keywords for cheaper because they're spending, you stop spending. A lot of the competition in that market stops spending because they go into walnut shell mode. The people that keep spending, suddenly all those ad costs come down. So they're actually growing. They're getting more and more of that traffic. And then you come back a year later and go, okay, well, actually now my business is tanked.
Yeah.
So now the keyword prices have gone back up, but this guy's been making millions of dollars over that time, and I've been making, I've been surviving. Suddenly that business is, they're going to dominate you. So that's maybe a bit of a basic example, but that is what happens in recession, and a lot of massive businesses. I think the classic example is the iPod was launched in a recession, and that did pretty well. Obviously, that's Apple, and there's a lot of backing and a lot of other stuff going on with a business like that. But a lot of big businesses were founded and built during recession. So it's that mindset shift, I guess, is what we're really trying to get to on this episode, is looking at a down market as an opportunity, and then finding those ways of, right, what is the opportunity here? What do I need to adjust? What do I need to shift to? Maybe I've got to change my revenue model. I've got to shift to a subscription model or something, right? Just to get through that time. But you've got to start with that mindset of looking at, right, we're going into recession, instead of going, well, fuck it, I'm just going to stop everything and pause. All right, I'm going to lean into this. I'm going to find a way through it so I can keep spending. I can keep growing my audience. I can keep serving my customers. So understanding what that looks like. I think that's the key here.
Yeah. It's kind of like, if two customers knock on our door today as a marketing agency, and they're like, one of them comes and they're like, what do you do? And they're like, I sell I sell dog treats online, and the other one's like, I sell dog treats online. And we're like, what do you do? Okay, well, we're kind of constantly trying to improve the conversion rate of our website. And they're like, oh, we don't do that. And this one's like, oh, I constantly trying to write really good blog articles for the site. It's like, well, we don't do that. And then this one's like, I'm running a little bit of ads, and it's pretty good. I get a ROAS that's working, and these guys are like, oh, I don't really do that as well, And the I don't do that guy's been sitting there for like 3 years. He goes, oh, we're doing our 100 grand a month, we're doing our 200 grand a month. But like you just said, the ones that are still building and improving and optimizing, and just fixing, constantly working on the business as well. Pretty quickly, this business on the right is just, like you said, is just going to go catch a later. Like, this one's going to come along and steal their traffic, their customers, their revenue, blah blah blah. And like you said as well about inflation. The one on the right, like, sure, it's worked for them for the last couple of years, but the staff costs are going to get more and more expensive. They can't find staff. Product costs are going to get more and more expensive. They can't get product. Ad costs going to get more and more expensive to a degree. They can't do that. So just circling back, kind of what you said, like, those that keep building, keep improving, want to keep growing, are the ones that are really going to crush it during the recession as well. And you don't need to spend like heaps of money to really stay in that. I call it the building phase. Like that. It's a real common phrase that's used in cryptocurrency. So like crypto has just gone to shit, right? It's dead. It's gone from Bitcoin's gone from like
30,000
bloody
to 20.
$10 or some shit. You know what I mean? But you see the guys in the communities, and they're all like, "What's everyone doing?" And like, and it's like crying. And now the guys are like, "I'm building. We're building. We're building." These guys that keep building and improving their businesses. Once this bounces, they're gonna fly. Like they're gonna do really, really well. So, and I guess it kind of leads me to a few. And I can't quote this very well. I'm pretty sleep deprived, but there is a good quote, and you probably know it. But it's like when there's blood in the streets, that's the time to go shopping, right? So go and do stuff with the business. Go and acquire property and go and buy assets and work on the assets you've got, because like everything's in such a fire sale at the moment. You've just got huge opportunity while everyone and there's never a better time to do this kind of stuff as well, because like we said, and this probably takes us full circle, everyone, like a good 70 to 80% of people just like, oh my god, I'm so scared, I'm not doing nothing, I'm not buying nothing, I'm not spending money on nothing. But so you can you go pick up whatever you need to do, improve what you need to do, and then
Yeah, but I mean that blood in the street. I think that's Warren Buffett or something. I think maybe. But I mean that's literally how and why the rich get richer, because they see recession and go, fuck yeah, like shit's going to be so cheap. I'm going to pick up all these businesses. I'm going to buy property. My assets are going to go up. And then when the recession's over, those assets are going to be worth 5, 10, 20x what I bought them for, like overnight. But that's a mindset, right? That's a mindset of that fire sale mindset, right? What can I do to get in and grow the thing that I'm growing? Again, like a great example is just the cost of Google ads, the cost of Facebook ads. That stuff does tend to come down in a down market, in a recession, because they said less people, 70, 80, 50% of people stop spending. So now it's the market adjusts and those costs come down. So you sort of that balance, like we were talking earlier as well, you may end up paying a bit more to acquire a customer, but you could also start paying much less depending on sort of what you're doing, right? If those ad costs come down, you might actually start acquiring a lot more customers for cheaper. But even if you are active and you're paying more to acquire a customer, and maybe your margins are a little less, as long as you're growing and you're acquiring, you're bringing people into your orbit, into your business. So when this does pass, you're in a much better place to accelerate from there. So if there's one takeaway, maintain that activity, always that sort of continuous improvement, that Kaizen mindset of always be doing something, even when it feels like you just want to kind of shell up and stop doing stuff, and particularly stop spending money or downsize or get rid of staff. The more of those things you can maintain and continue to build, the better off you're going to be positioned when you come out the other end of this, because this too shall pass, and there'll be another side to this. So you want to sort of set yourself up to be in the best position possible on the back end of a down market.
Yeah. And we can wrap it up with a quote that I read on LinkedIn from Ryan Dice, who is the CEO of digitalmarketer.com. Anyone that's in the marketing game will know who he is, but he made a post and said that all businesses work at some cost basis and all marketing works at some acquisition cost. So the solution is rarely cost cutting. So exactly kind of what we said is that, and I feel this as well, pretty much every single business that exists, like 95%, like can survive very well during the recession. It's just about figuring out your numbers and, really nailing the numbers, knowing how much cost to acquire a customer and knowing how much you can make over the customer lifetime value of a customer. If you nail those things, then you're in a good place. So again, to round this out, don't go hide in your cave. Don't stop spending. just figure out a strategy, like, double down now and really nail it, and you'll come out the other side really well after the end of this. So
Yeah.
all right, guys.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks so much for watching. We're gonna try and knock out a few podcast episodes today, so we'll see how we go. But any questions, comments, you know where we are, and yeah, thanks for your time.
Catch you on the next one. Cheers, Paul. Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Bye.